Hey guys, welcome to the Shambles United podcast. This is your host for today, Karan Advani, for a change, as previously mentioned, a fan favorite, as they say. But yeah, pleasure to host today. And I'm joined by Casey, Giri, Harish, and Shoto. And we're going to be speaking about the proceedings that have been happening over the past week. I believe the last podcast that we had was about a week ago, where we were speaking about Fred and whether he has a future at the club and what Ole needs to do to get the best out of him. And speaking about that, one of the most crucial things that has happened over the past week is the letter that Joel Glazer has written to us fans and the fan representatives. So, talking about that, Casey, what do you think about that? Do you believe what Joel Glazer is saying, or do you think things are going to change at the club?
Well, honestly speaking, we've seen a lot of empty promises from the Glazers before. So, and also before that, thank you, Karan. It's kind of weird, seeing someone apart from Pranav hosting the podcast. But yeah, let me just quickly get back on track. I'll not digress. So yeah, we've seen a lot of empty promises that have come in from the Glazers in the past as well. With respect to increasing the fan involvement and especially with respect to MUST requesting or rather being on their heels for the last 15 years to improve the amount of involvement that fans have and how much weightage does the fans opinion have in what the club does as an organization, as a footballing like leader. Right. So it could be crocodile tears, or it could be a wake up call, and them actually genuinely trying to respond to things that have happened before, vis-a-vis the protest that happened, which led to the postponement of the Liverpool fixture. So it could be either of those two things. At this point in time, I'll not lift my finger and say, okay, yeah, this is definitely the Glazers actually being apologetic and trying to right the wrongs of the last 15 years. Because honestly, as the owners of the club, they've barely cared about what the fans think or what we wanted as one of the world's largest fan base. So I don't see that suddenly all that would change over just 1 week or 2 weeks of time. So I'll just be very cautious. When there is action, that is when I'll believe it. Until that point, I'm going to be very, very skeptical about it.
Yeah, but speaking of action, one of the things that has come up over the past couple of days is UEFA sanctioning all of the nine clubs that have left the Super League. And I believe they are fining each individual club around 15 million pounds. And they're going to be sending that money to the grassroots level, which I believe is a great thing. But immediately after the sanction, journalists like Simon Stone were mentioning that Joel Glazer is going to be paying this money from his own pocket. So, what do you think about that, Harish? Like, do you believe that is that's a step in the right direction, or whether that's just a PR tactic?
Well, so this is like how to put it. It's like you take out around a huge chunk of, or probably have a huge treasure, and then you're just giving one part of it, or probably 10% of it to the poor, saying that yes, I did some charity. Glazers have been looting our club since they owned us, or since they have taken over the club. And each and every year, each and every year, they have been getting a lot of profits from all around different sponsorship deals and all the business deals with Ed Woodward has been signing off. And at the same time, I guess we are the only club which provides 20% of dividends to its own owners, 20% of profits to its own owners. So considering what all which we have been getting over the past years, 15 million is just peanuts considering Glazers' work. And just to add what Casey was mentioning regarding being skeptical about it, I'm not entirely skeptical about this being an apology letter from the bottom of the heart or anything. This looks like a fake ass apology done by as close to what politicians provide when something bad happens or something doesn't go according to their plan. They figured out fans play a huge part in the entire organization of the club. And right now, the petition being signed to have 50 plus 1 percentage of ownership to the fans, they realize that they should provide as much as importance and respect to the fans as well. So this is nothing but a PR tactic, just like you mentioned. At the same point of time, uh, when fans can postpone a huge game like United versus Liverpool, they know that they can do much more than just bringing out the bad side of the ownership.
Yeah, one of the things that you mentioned when it comes to fan involvement in the proceedings of the club, uh, like I believe around 4 to 5 days ago, Chelsea have become the first club in the top six who have welcomed the inclusion of fan representatives to their board meetings. Now, I'm not sure whether they're going to be having any voting rights or whether they're going to be involved in the decision making process. But it's definitely a step in the right direction when it comes to these massive footballing clubs, these massive corporations. Really looking forward to include these fans, include the mass population into the day-to-day workings of the club. So, what do you think about the shorter? Like, is it something that we should be expecting out of United, or whether it should become a regulation through UEFA, or maybe local governments where they force these massive corporations to get us get the primary stakeholders like fans and fan representatives and basic support groups into the decision making of the club. What do you think about that, Shop?
Right. Thanks, Karan, for having me here. But whatever Casey and Girish have said, I would just harp on a little bit more about from there. Yes, it may be a little too late for the owners to come in and talk to us after such a long time. It's been almost 15 years now. In the wake of the letter which was signed by Joel, there are a few things to look at it as well. First, the mass hysteria which the ASL pact caused. Many supporters have come out through the MUST portal as well as the petitions which have been signed. That plus there has been word from Boris Johnson himself about there might be some persecution which the legal bombs which will be put across the ASL members. Plus the many of our sponsors are getting spooked now, and from a perspective of the ownership who has taken the ownership of the club through a leveraged buyout for such a huge amount of money to be in depth itself. It comes as it's a onus for the owners itself to run the organization as a well-oiled profit making institution. That is why they had Woodward, who was the money man for them. Now coming to the question that you asked, Karan, I definitely think it's a step in the right direction. There should be much more accountability when it comes to the kind of representation the supporters have, say, while making the decisions or getting their voices heard. Although Joel did mention that he'll be a part of that discussion, it remains to be seen how frequently that happens and if he can keep his words, because since the last 15 years we have had zero sliver of trust which is left against him. And I think UEFA should be looking into it, but more than that, I think local governing bodies like FA or the PL should be harping about this a little bit more, because it's not only for us, it is also for the other 5 members who try to break away. And maybe later on, if there is any other, say, big ownership which comes into the clubs, like Newcastle was supposed to be bought off by Saudi. So if MBS was also there, he would have, the institution would have also tried to do something like this to increase the profits and keep the books in check. So PL, especially PL, should be looking at it, because other leagues, I don't think it's it's not a huge issue as such, because in in your La Liga, you have your sicarios, you have then in say Bundesliga, obviously you have your 50+1 rule. Syria is a little, a little regressed in terms of all of the functions. I'm not sure about what happens there, but in EPL, it's very much needed.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's going to be a very interesting topic of discussion over the next few weeks while we have the podcast. Like, whether the rest of the topics intend on increasing the fan culture at the club by probably including them at board meetings, and it's going to be interesting, especially because I believe the last couple of game weeks in the Premier League this season are going to be having the fans in stadiums. So it's going to be like really nice to see what these fans are going to say and what they're going to portray in front of the board and the media. So like another thing that really pops to my mind is that one of the things that Joel Glazer mentioned in his letter to the fans, like it's in front of me. He said, "In addition, I want to reassure you that my family and I deeply care about Manchester United and feel a profound sense of responsibility to protect and enhance its strength for the long term while respecting its values and traditions." So, what do you guys think about this? Because one of the things that has really impacted the club over the past 2 years has been the appointment of Ole. And in terms of like enhancing the traditions of the club by improving the academic structure, by promoting a lot of youth, by signing better players, signing the players with the right mentality, and definitely seeing a lot of improvement on the pitch when it comes to maybe making four semifinals over the past 2 years, being on track to finishing in the top four for back-to-back seasons, potentially winning the Europa League this season. So, do you feel that Joel Glazer and Ed Woodward over the past 2 years have made good progress in improving fan engagement, improving the quality of the players, the quality of the squad, improving the finances of the club? What do you guys think about this? Like, do you feel that the club is heading in the right direction?
Well, Karan, there are few things to be considered here before jumping into this entire, direction of or this chain of thoughts, whether the club is heading over to the right direction. The part which Joel Glazer has mentioned in this letter, that he would be taking responsibility and providing as much as support from his end for the, for the better performance of the club and all. If you look into it from a different perspective, the signing Ole or getting Ole as our manager was only to bring the fans together. We know that the club was in a very shambolic state between the manager, Jose Mourinho, and the players. There were a lot of rift going around, and the entire fan board was already split into two. Bringing in an ex-United player who has won us the Champions League and who has scored probably more than 150 goals for United, and having a rich experience on the club who knows about the system, it was a blessing in disguise for Glazer and Woodward that Ole turned out to be pretty good. And maybe because of that, now they might give this vote of confidence or this thumbs up, saying that we are progressing towards the right direction. That particular decision of bringing in Ole might be a fluke, but the entire system overall on how the transfers are being made or what all we are going to do from a different perspective, on a different approach towards the footballing system, will not improve if Glazer stays in the club or Glazer owns it.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Like, it could definitely be a fluke, as you're mentioning, because over the past 16 years, while the Glazers have been in charge, they've been fortunate to have Sir Alex as manager for majority of their tenure, and post that they've just made blunder after blunder. So it is definitely possible that Ole might be a fluke, might be something that we got lucky with. But having said that, like we could definitely dwell over these factors where Ole might be a fluke or whether this was intended or whether it wasn't intended. But
Karan, let me rephrase that or probably just correct it for you. The decision to appoint Ole was a fluke. Ole as a manager has been incredibly good. The decision to appoint Ole by Glazers and Woodward, that decision might be a fluke. That's what I was trying to put in.
okay, so what do you think about that, Casey and Shorter, both of you? Like maybe if you could go back to back, but what do you guys think about the things that are going right at the moment? Like last season, we finished around 33 points behind the leaders, and currently we are on track to, if we end up winning the 3 games in the next week, we might potentially end up 4 points behind Manchester City when they play next. So what do you guys think has changed for the better over the past couple of years? Do you feel that there is really good progress? What do you guys think about?
Shoto, if you don't mind, I'll
Yeah,
go ahead.
please go on.
Right. So, uh, let me just say one thing, okay? The the most visibly evident thing that has changed or improved, or that has happened in the last 2 years since Ole has taken over, is the players now seem to play for the badge and the manager. They play for the manager. They play for the club. Previously, I've said this, I think, a countless number of times. I think even in the last time I was on with Pranav and you, I had said this, is the fact that we no longer have a bunch of 11 headless chickens running around on the pitch trying to score a goal or trying to defend with their lives. What we have now is a closely knit unit that will fight till the end for the manager and the club, the badge that they have on their chest. And that, I think, is the most success that you can have as a manager at this particular club, because you can call us emotional fools, but football is all about emotion for us fans, right? So I mean, obviously
Touche.
emotion and results, but that's what I'm saying. Like, Ole has made that happen. The players listen to him. It's very, very evident that, irrespective of what people might say, that he's just a smiling PE teacher or whatever it is, his man management, I mean, hands down, has to be the best that I've seen post Sir Alex. Like, across, like, it has to be in the top three managers out there in the world right now. With respect to man management, I'm not talking about tactics and everything else, just about getting the best out of his players. Of course, there is always going to be a Martial or Fred out there. You can't really do anything about that, but let's save that debate for a later point in time. And also, to add on to what you said, right, Karan, I'm reading the next part of what Aram's letter says. It says success on the field must be underpinned by solid foundations off of it. We have supported sustained investment of the team over many years, and that will continue this summer. So he's very clear. He is not talking about long term. He is very clearly just mentioning that will continue this summer. He has not made any promises of having an extravagantly larger kitty for Ole to basically splash out and get the targets that he wants. He just said it's going to continue this summer, and on top of that, when he says investment, he says that we recognize that we will need to significantly increase investment in Old Trafford and a training complex to ensure that the club's facilities remain among the best in Europe. As part of this, we will continue to consult with the fans on investments related to the stadiums and the match day experience. So it's not about the transfers, but more about the match day experience and like what is there in and around the game, and things with the to do with the facility and upliftment of probably the city of Greater Manchester, just like Manchester City did. But I don't see how or how much of a impact the fans might have on the transfers and things like that, or in general the direction in which the club is supposed to go. So that again, just to reiterate, might be a empty promise. And I think if you can just pull out the response that the supporters trust has shared, it's very clear. Like, we have seen empty words a lot, very often from from you guys of late. So we will only respond when we have the time. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, you like you mentioned, Joel Glazer, for the first time in 16 years, firstly, he's interacted with the fans directly. It could be because of the backlash of the ESL, but for whatever reason, he has happened to communicate with us. And like you mentioned, he's spoken about the importance of the investment in at Old Trafford and the training complex to ensure that the club facilities remain among the best in Europe. Uh, like we've noticed over the past couple of years that the clubs like Leicester have newly opened a training facility. We've noticed that Tottenham and West Ham have gotten new stadiums. Arsenal, on the other hand, have a relatively new stadium, having opened in 2005, 2006. So, how important do you guys think is it for us to have one of the best stadiums in the country? Because we definitely have the highest capacity at Old Trafford. I believe 75,000 people could seat there on a full house.
Yep.
So, Shoto, what do you think about this? Do you feel that the brand of Manchester United is only going to be enhanced by further improvement in our training complexes, or do you believe that like people dwelling on our past glories, our past laurels are going to continue to keep our brand afloat with the best clubs in Europe? Do you believe that?
When you're looking at the financial implications, better facilities at the stadium can provide better facilities for season pass holders or traveling fans and things like that. So you can increase a little bit of the income from there as well, although you're putting in some investment out there. And about the past laurels, I suppose because of the investment in this like in the team which supports the squad. When you're looking at the people who are currently looking after our say the direction in which the football should go ahead, and how the recruitment has been for our the under 18 and under 23 squads, that has been really impressive in terms of the kind of people who have come in. Recently, we got someone from Crystal Palace was as a scout, who was, I suppose, one of the big shots over there, and that does give some positive vibes that things are getting into place, because as of now we had people of money who were looking into the operations of Manchester United, but there are certain things that are being imposed on as well as placated, so that we can move on ahead a little bit past our past glories as well.
Yeah, indeed, it's going to be really interesting to see how Joel Glazer acts upon his words in this letter, or whether it's just him speaking to us just for PR. It's going to be really interesting to see how he's going to act upon his words. But having said that, today's match day, we are playing Aston Villa, and it's going to be the first game of our hectic schedule over the next 5 days. We're playing 3 games, which in my eyes is quite absurd. It's a ridiculous thing, especially in a COVID situation where we've played games at an average of 3 to 4 days throughout the season. But what do you guys think? Do you believe that Aston Villa is going to trouble us tonight, or would we be able to get the 3 points and seal top four tonight? What do you guys think?
No Grealish, no party.
It's bonkers, literally bonkers about how frequently you have to play these games right now. And Aston Villa has troubled a lot of teams. It's not going to be easy. Our three fixtures are tough. Uh, Depending on, see, we did have some rest in between after the Roma match, but Leicester and Liverpool within 3 days, that's crazy.
Yeah, but what do you predict? Like, do you predict any scoreline today?
I believe we can win 2-1, because they will score first, then we'll come back again like we always do this
As
season.
usual. Yeah, what do you think, Giri?
Well, the fixture congestion is pretty absurd, just like you mentioned. And I guess Ole also mentioned about the same thing, that this list was, these fixtures were created or maybe scheduled by people who haven't touched football or haven't played games on a professional level. And well, personally, playing football on a very amateur level in leagues around, having 3 games or in a matter of 5 days is completely difficult to perform with. And given the fact that these 3 games might decide on where we are finishing on the table, provided Chelsea are fighting strong, and the intensity of the games, it's pretty absurd. This entire fixture list for the next week is you know is horrendous. That's what I would say. And you might see a lot of changes within the squad, or you'll have role players coming up and starting over games. And so I don't know. I'll probably go with a 1-1 draw or a 0-0 draw today against Villa.
Funny you mentioned that, Harish. It's basically, I don't think Ole believes in any of the other players to, come in and fill in the slot for him. Because what you're saying is he has like his inner circle of those 7 players that he would not change even if the world was coming to an end, and probably only give a chance if they're like, okay, boss, please, like I don't want to do this. Maybe let me have a break. And I don't think any of those 7 players are people that would go ahead and go to him and say, okay, boss, I need a break, because every single one of the players that we see right now seems like they all want to play every single minute of every game. Like I believe you might have read the Bruno statement, especially where he said, I am used to playing 3 hours a day. For me, if I to play once a week or twice a week for 90 minutes is not sufficient, so I want to play more and more. Right, that is the kind of mentality that you really want in your team, that you want from the leader on the pitch that you have. The kind of performances that he keeps putting in week in, week out. And I think that is exactly what Ole wants. If you've seen, our team has become like the most, what do you call, fit in terms of their distance covered, and we have one position higher up the pitch than any other team in the Premier League, if I'm not wrong. So having said that, I don't expect a lot of rotations. Villa, yes, I think I am also on the same lines as Karan. I think we'll also nick out. Sorry, I think Shoto it was that we'll nick out a win. But I might be a little, ambitious and say that we might win by 2 goals. Maybe it's 3-1. But I do think it'll be a boring first half.
Yeah, it's going to be really crucial to win today's game, because mathematically we need 4 points to seal top four. Because I believe the lowest that we could finish is sixth currently, if Liverpool and West Ham end up winning all their games. But if we happen to win 4 points over the next 3 games this week, we would have sealed top four. And at the end of the day, if we don't win the league, the position doesn't really matter. Whether you finish second or fourth, Champions League is what matters. So we really need to beat Aston Villa today and be one step closer, or maybe 2 steps closer to Champions League. Uh, so yeah, it's going to be nice to see how Ole is going to be rotating, because I believe it's the first time that Ole has mentioned how he's going to be rotating the side. So I want to see how well he could back his own comments over there. Uh, but like, yeah, it's going to be
Yeah,
interesting this
Karan,
week.
I agree with you over here, but at the same point, to add up what Casey was saying, we don't have all Park Ji-sungs, like 11 Park Ji-sungs or probably 10 Park Ji-sungs playing over here. Bruno Fernandes, yes, he has been putting a lot of effort, and for him, it's not up to his level maybe to to have this fixture congestion, and he thinks it's pretty fair from his part. But others are not Park Ji-sungs or Kantes or Makelele's over here who can
They're
run around.
forgetting Maguire as well. Maguire has been
Yeah.
playing all of our games.
Yeah, it's not like everyone has a very good fitness level, given the fact that few of our creative players are going to Ramadan, and they have to, they have to go on with their own lifestyle along with the fixtures. So yeah, like Ole should be fairly rotating the squad. He can keep a score of maybe 3 or 4 players each and every day, but still he has to rotate the squad to get the best out of everyone and best out of the results.
Right.
Even if he rotates, I don't want the same diamond formation without the proper center
Pivot.
back pairing. No, the diamond formation that we played in the Roma second half, we had very bad results over there in the second half when we were leaking every kind of chance.
Yeah, but today perhaps we might be seeing our first 11, because
Yeah, I agree.
we could consider this game to be like just an aftermath after the Europa League game. So today we might see our strongest 11,
Yeah.
but if we can get a win, then it's going to be safer for Ole to rotate his team. And like on that note, I believe that we could end this podcast or this episode. So what are your final thoughts? Like a debut for Shoto. What do you think about this experience?
I've been listening to you all across Spotify. I've been sharing all the tweets. You can call me a fanboy of this podcast itself. So it's really nice to be here, and I'm grateful. And I hope that I can come again soon, and we can have a long discussion about other topics related to United and further things.
For sure, it's been lovely having you. What do you think, Harish? Like, you've been here for the second or the third time now. Yeah, we've gotten sick of you, but now let's see. What do you think?
Well, yeah, it's nice to have discussions, about all this on a very broader level and probably as professional as possible, because you very well know like what happens when we discuss or get into a discussion. Well, yeah, so it was nice, and let's have more discussions on this, and we can have more sessions, talk about a variety of things, and not only just stick to the contemporary or the current things going on, but also from a future perspective, and also from a past sessions perspective. So yeah, let's see. And yeah, thanks for having me again. Like, yeah, you will be seeing a lot of many more episodes. Well, Karan, like, of course, along with you.
Yeah, for sure.
I
And
think the
Casey, like
bigger
final thoughts from your end.
I think the bigger question is to basically figure out who is going to be there to replace Karan, because we are sick of having Karan on every single episode.
Exactly. Like, I
Oh,
can't
and he's a
stand
fan
him
favorite, man.
hosting. I can't stand him hosting. I wanted, literally, like most of the time, what happens, like everyone knows here, probably, or if they don't, it's like Karan and I, we always have different thoughts. Like it's always extreme. Like here, I guess the last episode where we both of us were like, he was with Henderson and I was with De Gea. So that's just that's just a trailer of thoughts which we both of us have. So come on, Karan. Like maybe I would want Pranav to show up more, hosting the episode, and Karan on the other side, so that we can discuss more on
Yeah,
more on
for
the
sure.
footballing
Maybe,
level.
maybe
Special
next
emphasis on
episode.
the word discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we might have Pranav back in the next episode. But having said that, that's all from the Shambles United podcast. It's been a pleasure. See you soon next time.